Happy Thursday, Motivation Movers. Your girl, the one and only Coco Renee, is back with an all-new daily affirmation. I thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you guys so much for your time and your attention. You're not doing this for me. Again, I don't do this for me. I do this for me, but I do it for us all, because at the end of the day, God has promoted me and put me in this position as his faithful servant. It is my due diligence to deliver, and he says to deliver to the nation. So the only way that I'm able to do that is by, social media. This is probably the biggest platform where this word will reach many places, and that is what it's all about, is just reaching out to whoever is willing to receive it. So thank you guys so much for taking the time to join me today. Let's go ahead and get into the daily affirmation. I'm going to read from the book of John. I'm going to read it directly because I don't want to skim over anything. I want to say it verbatim as it shows in the scripture. I'm reading from New Living Translations, and I only read from this is because if I have a beginner person who is not really familiar with the Bible and with scriptures, it is going to be very hard for you to interpret me reading from King James Version. Once you become a little bit more fluent for my beginners, then you can go ahead and go through different translations so that you can see the King James Version versus all the other different versions. That way you have a better understanding, okay? So John 15:4 reads, "Remain in me, and I will remain in you. For a branch cannot produce fruit if it is severed from the vine, and you cannot be fruitful unless you remain in me." Sounds like God is telling us no matter what we do, if we do not remain in him and keep him in our everyday to-day life, if we are not abiding by these scriptures, doing our best to follow these laws, keeping him involved, okay, in every shape and form that we can, then guess what? We're not fruitful. He can't produce good fruit, continue to do good things with us if we are not allowing him to. We're so caught up in the world and in the flesh and doing everything else wrong, we're really severing ourselves from him, okay? Because he is really, if you think about it, he is the branch. God is everything, so he's the branch too. So if we're severing him, how are we going to produce anything with a severed branch? I mean, like, think about it. Think about, how trees grow outside. Once you start cutting it off to the stump, it's not going to produce anymore. It's done. So I'm going to just tell you guys like this. In order for you to turn things around in your life, it has to start with a small step. If that small step is just prayer and talking to him and building a relationship and a rapport with him on a day-to-day basis to get to know him, for those who are not really familiar and who are people who are looking to build a relationship with God, start with having a conversation with him. Simple conversation. Trying to get right into scriptures for someone who is new to this, it is going to be very overwhelming. You have to start with building the rapport. Kind of like going out on a date with someone. You ask questions, you're talking to them, you're getting to know them. Do that with God. Just talk to him in a private place, private space. Give him that time. That quality time is all he's really asking for. Trust me when I tell you, once upon a time, over 10, 15 years ago, because I've always been a person of the spirit, but 15 plus, maybe 20 years ago, it was really hard for me to interpret scriptures. I had no clue what they meant. It was like a foreign language to me. I started praying and asking him for clarification. He had to take me through a process, okay? A process. He didn't just say, okay, go read scriptures and you're going to get it. He allowed me to go through a process of things that had to happen in my life in order for me to become better acquainted with talking to him, building rapport with him. And once I built that rapport, the scriptures came later. Okay. So I'm only sharing this because I don't want you to be overwhelmed and say, okay, well, I'm praying and I'm reading the scriptures and I still don't get it. Build your rapport first. Let him take you through the course and the process that you need to go through in order for him to show you the things that will later make sense to you. Right now, it's a foreign language. And I read this from the New Living Translation again, because I want to make sure my beginners that are out there trying to get an understanding of scripture and get familiar with the Bible, I want you guys to understand it plain and simple. If you are already a person who is very fluent with scriptures, then you know that you will go to King James Version or any version of the Bible that you feel comfortable with. Never rely on one translation, use multiple, but King James is really the go-to. That is really the only, I hate to say like the only origination, because there's other Bibles out there that originated before King James. However, I understand that it is not as accessible for people to get their hands on them. So start with King James. That's probably as close as it's going to get to the original, original scriptures. That's as close as it's going to get as far as you being able to have access to it. But if you do your due diligence and you ask God to guide you and direct you, He will open up doors for you to find exactly what it is that you need to find. And just keep in mind that you are the temple. You are the church, okay? So God is already in you, okay? You don't always have to go somewhere. I'm not saying for you not to go anywhere, but what I'm saying is He's already in you. So it's already there embedded like a birthmark. It's already in you. You just start praying so that He can start helping you to receive the information internally. Once you start receiving it internally, your mind will start changing. Things will start looking different. You'll have a different understanding. It'll open up your mind completely. Take those steps, one step at a time. Start with prayer. All right, you guys, I gotta go. I hope you guys have a blessed rest of your Thursday. If you are here in Southern California, please slow down and be careful because it is raining cats and dogs, y'all. All right, until next time, y'all, your girl gotta go. Toodles.